Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir. Nous sommes donc de retour à NoReset Speedrun au LAN ETS 2019 avec Sneeaaky qui va faire Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas, any % no unstuck sur PC. So Sneeaaky, how's it going today, buddy?
It's going very well, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so what kind of game did you bring to us right now? I mean, it looks cute and everything. The artwork looks actually pretty good. From the test you were doing earlier, it kind of looked like a Zelda game-ish.
Okay, I could draw a picture for you. It's The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, developed by a budget Finnish studio for iOS, ported to PC. That should...
I think I just puked in my mouth a little bit right now, but...
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it looks good.
It's a great game. It's fantastic.
It looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, don't judge by the platform, judge by the game.
Yeah.
So, unless it's Candy Crush. All right. Well, I mean, we're just going to get started, man.
I'm ready to just run it down.
This
is a long run, so let's do it.
Let's do it. It's all yours.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Also, I just want to point out that since this is a long run, it's a quick 120, an hour 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a quick 120.
Quick.
Pretty sure we can make it to 750.
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Well, I'll be signing off for the night and getting some Z's. And I just want to wish you good luck on your run. I'll make sure to watch the VOD because that's one of them that I really wanted to watch, but I'm going to die. So.
Well, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, man. And it's always a pleasure to have you back as well. And looking forward to seeing more runs and working with you on special projects in the future. Let's just say that.
All right.
All right. Take care, man.
Take care. Yeah, so this is Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas, any %, no unstuck. So I'll try to explain the category a little bit. No unstuck means that we don't use any of the developer functions that they allow us to use. So basically, the developers have added a reset map function that's, I think it's like Shift-LR on the keyboard, that resets any map that you're currently in. You can also warp to the start of an island, and you can warp to the last checkpoint. So we stopped using those in this category because they kind of break the game a little bit and make it look really crazy. But the game still gets a little crazy. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. But yeah, so it's basically, as I explained earlier, it's basically a budget Wind Waker. You're going to see a lot of boating. You're going to see a lot of very similar things that you would see in a Zelda game. Like right now, I just picked up a sword and a shield. And there are keys, there are master keys. There's going to be a lot of block puzzles, as usual for a Zelda game. And yeah, so it's a good intro for this game. The story so far is that our father has just left looking for this giant mechanical monster. And he's left a journal for us, so we're going to follow through this journal and see if we can find him. And we're on Hermit's Island. So Hermit's Island is sort of like our base camp right now. And something seems to be brewing on Hermit's Island, so we're going to go back to sleep and see what happens in the morning. So you're going to see me, when I drop off ledges, I'm going to be hitting my shield, which cancels the... there's like a lag that happens, a little animation where you fall down. And by hitting the shield button, I'm going to cancel that lag. And now we've got some little Oceanhorns to fight that are harassing our little hermit friend. And this one is stuck. What in the world? Oh, there we go. So we've helped him out. We're going to skip through a bunch of cutscenes. Cutscenes are going to be very important later on in this game. And now we get to get off of Hermit's Island. So you're going to get to see what Oceanhorn is all about. It's a super chill run. There's a lot of just boating around. The travel between the islands is kind of long, but you don't really have to do much, so it's kind of nice. And a pretty interesting thing about this game is the way that you explore the ocean. So when you talk to people, they'll mention other islands. And when they mention another island, it'll pop up on your minimap or on the overworld when you get into your boat. So right there, they talked about the island of Tikkarel, and Tikkarel popped up on our map. So we're going to be going there, where we're going to learn about a couple more interesting islands. There are these boats that float across us, and they say some very zany things sometimes. But yeah, mostly this is going to be the next hour and 15 minutes. A lot of this boating between islands. Something that you'll notice is that the music is incredible. So as I said before, there was like a very small Finnish studio that made this game. But somehow, and I still don't understand to this day, they got Kenji Ito and Nobuo Uematsu to write a couple of songs on for this soundtrack. So there's some really, really good stuff on it. So now we're in Tikkarel Town. This is probably the smallest instance of RNG in the entire game. There's going to be a man walking around, and we have to talk to him so that we can get one of the next 2 islands. And this is bad RNG. He's walking away from us. So we're going to try to push him towards the other man. It's not going to work very well. But he tells us about the Withered Lands. And we talk to another man over here, and he's going to tell us about Bomb Island. Talk to him twice. It's fine. And then we're just going to leave. So when we get to the overworld, we're going to pop up Withered Islands and Bomb Island. And our first objective is going to be to go to Bomb Island to get some bombs. Because as the father will say, bombs are important. There could be puzzles. You'll hear it in a second. It's fine. There's a lot of really crazy voice acting. And unfortunately, we can't skip any of the voice acting at the start of any of the islands. So we kind of just have to listen to the father ramble. And sometimes he says some really crazy things, and sometimes he says some just like absolutely obvious things that someone who's supposed to be an experienced adventurer such as him is just like probably not say. So one of the There are a lot of like exploits and glitches in this game, and one I'm going to show off in a second is the stamina replenishment exploit. So we have a stamina bar, and we use stamina by running, by rolling, by slashing, by swimming. But we have flashbacks in our inventory, and I'll show you right now. My stamina bar, it's pretty high, but if I pick this flashback that's really short, my stamina bar refreshes, which is really, really helpful. So there are a lot of areas where I can just swim instead of doing any of the puzzles and refresh my stamina bar, and I get to skip a whole bunch of stuff. So right there, I skipped having to open a gate and then dropping off of a wooden walkway, and it saves about 20 seconds overall, which is pretty neat. Now we're in our first like actual dungeon. So these are the abandoned mines. You'll see how very Zelda-like it starts to get here. One of the things, there's like a couple of little oversights that they seem to make. So you're supposed to actually go in there and kill all the enemies, but if you just hug the walls, you can walk right by everything and grab the key. So you don't really have to do anything in that room. And a lot of those little quirks show up throughout this entire game, and I think that's what makes the speedrun like really, really cool. It's just the fact that you can do these small things that you probably wouldn't think about doing in like a casual playthrough. But then like in a speedrun, it's just like it's so much fun to just skip around and not have to get keys or not have to kill certain enemies. So over here, I'm opening up a gate that I'll be going through later. That's sort of the gate to the boss of this area. But before we do that, we have to get a master key, and we have to get another key to open up a door that leads us to the master key. So we're going to be doing that right over here. There's a small time save where we don't Like a lot of these block puzzles, any of them where you actually have to walk on the blocks, you don't really have to finish them because you can walk on the blocks diagonally. Or you could just fall. That's fine too. I might have to reset. No, oh wait, no, I can get up. So those blue buttons reset the puzzles in the rooms that you're in, just in case you get soft locked. So sort of to go back to those developer functions I was talking about before. The reason why they exist at all is because, well, as I said, this game's made for iOS. So I guess when they ported it to PC, there were a whole bunch of crazy stuff that you can do that they didn't expect to be able to happen on PC. So instead of fixing them, they just added a whole bunch of functions that you could hit on your keyboard that get you out of sticky situations. So here we get the master key. Now we can go to the boss, and again, I don't know what they were thinking, but there's supposed to be a boss here, and there is, but there's nothing really blocking you from just walking away from it. So I'm gonna drop down into this hole, and oh no, the spooky music is gonna play. But now I just walked away from it. Again, it's those little things that make this game fun. And now here are the bombs. So bombs are important. They blow things up, such as these crates over here. They also do a lot of damage to some of the bosses. So we're going to be trying to use the bombs as much as possible and getting bombs as much as possible. So like we can only hold 5 in our inventory at the moment, which will eventually get to 10 and 15. But unfortunately, it's really hard to get bombs. You have to either slash a bunch of bushes or kill enemies, and we don't really have time to do that. So a lot of the time, we're going to be in a deficit for bombs, which is really sucky for probably the first 20 minutes of the run. Anyway, we've done what we needed to do on Bomb Island. We're now just going to go straight to Withered Island, where we're going to meet the Orus, which are owl people. And owl people know magic. They know force magic very specifically. And force magic is where this game is going to get a lot more fun for me. So there's something really strange with cutscenes or flashbacks or whatever you want to call them in this game, where when one plays and you play another one, you can cancel out of the second one, and I guess because there's just like a stack of flashbacks or cutscenes being played, canceling out of the last one just canceled out of the whole stack of them. So using the magic that we're going to get, we can sort of start a cutscene in the middle of another cutscene and then just cancel all of them, and then it gives us movement. Another thing force magic's going to be really helpful for is hitting buttons or levers or anything that's sort of off screen, so that we don't have to do a lot of puzzles, like a lot of really small, like run around the room puzzles. So I feel like this is where the game really opens up in terms of what you can do.
It's hard to believe all this wasteland used to be a forest. Orus lived here. They're all gone. A great deal of wisdom disappeared with them.
Yeah, so as I said, we're going to be talking to the Orus, or Orus. I always mispronounce that one. And we need to save one that's been trapped by these goblins. So, another interesting tidbit about this game, I guess, is that the way the kid, or the hero, or he doesn't really have a name, targets things is very weird. There's sort of like a radius around him that if there's something in it, he will target it. So there's a lever, or there's a button very high up there, and we just hit it with that skull. We were supposed to climb up a whole bunch of wooden walkways, kill a bunch of enemies, do a whole bunch of stuff, but no, we can just take the skull, and for some reason he targets it, and we can just toss it there, which is amazing. I love it. Oh, that's a neat little skip. And a goblin shot his friend. That's awesome. So this is Rigger. He's the guy that's going to teach us Force eventually. And then here's a level up. So again, because this game was originally made for iOS, I guess to get mobile players like really excited about stuff, there's a whole bunch of achievements and level ups that kind of help and are kind of just there to sort of tell you did a good job. And you'll notice like every time I get a level, I have to press start, and it like there's a whole bunch of fanfare, and I get an achievement, and yeah, you're gonna be seeing that quite a bit. So here's a fun little puzzle that we get to skip by using the flashbacks. So using a flashback in the middle of doing a puzzle will reset the puzzle for you, and now I don't have to do it. So it puts us on top of that statue, and then we get to just walk over the recessed wall. Here's the Oru that's going to be giving us Force. Oh, I should talk to him so I get the Great Forest. Yeah, so you'll see the first instance of canceling out of a cutscene a little later on in this cavern. But yeah, sort of back to getting islands. It's very possible that you forget to talk to a certain NPC and you don't get the island that you want, and every now and then those NPCs will just disappear, and then there's another place that you have to get the island, but it's really not not explicit. So yeah, we want to talk to all these NPCs, because it's very possible to just get into a state where you're like, I don't know where to go. And there's actually one island that I don't know how to find, so we're gonna hope that that doesn't happen to me. But anyway, good sky at night, sailor's delight. Thank you, man. We're gonna go to the Great Forest. The Great Forest is like our first actual temple or shrine or whatever you want to call it. And this is where everything starts to come together. The first thing we're going to do is skip a key. Well, we're going to grab a key, and then we're going to skip the gate that we would generally use it on. And we're going to be able to use that key later on this island. So like the really cool thing is that keys aren't just specific to sections. Like you'll notice I go into different areas. Even when I'm like on one specific island. Like I'm about to go into, I think it's, I actually forget. Restless Grove, there you go. Luckily, the keys are for the entire island and not just for a section. So something that I'm getting here is also viable for the shrine, which is like later on in this island. But yeah, we're gonna be grabbing this. And you notice how I just started walking away because I canceled my magic, and then we're gonna try to just jump over this ledge. Okay, he's not gonna let me do that. Oh my god, really? There we go. There we go. So we hop over that ledge and we skip. Ooh, bombs are good. We skip over a gate that we would generally open with that key. But we're going to end up using that key to save like 45 seconds down the line. And here's another really cool thing about Force. Because you can hit levers that are like really far, as I'm going to show you now, I get to skip just like, oh, okay, I did that wrong. I get to skip just like going over there. It's more a laziness thing than like a speedrunning thing. So, 3 bombs, pretty good. We're going to be running into a little mini boss here, and I get to show you the power of bombs. So bombs do a lot of damage. We're going to dispatch this mini boss in like, I guess 1 concrete block and 3 bombs. Oh, I wanted that magic. It's probably going to disappear. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to toss one of these concrete blocks over here. I'm going to pick it up just before the cutscene, and I get to use it in this fight.
Trespassers will be
So,
punished.
one. There we go. That's a mini boss. And as you saw, I picked up another key, so I'm still at 1 key count, which I am going to use in a second once I get some magic. Oh, alright. Not gonna be nice to me. Oh my god. Alright, I'll do it the long way. So that's the one downside to drops being seemingly random, and also me screwing up and using my magic when I shouldn't have. There are some tricks that you can't do if you don't have magic, which is very unfortunate. So there are some times you're going to see me just running around trying to find, well, either magic or bombs, because those are pretty important resources. So I get to use this key over here. It saves me having to cross this bridge. And I still really need magic, so I'm going to try to break a whole bunch of stuff. It's like the one time I don't need bombs. There we go. All right. So now I'm about to grab a key, and we're gonna go into another mini boss. And I'll show you just how much this game really dislikes its mini bosses. All right, so this is going to be Termos's arm. I hope you can get used to the music that plays right now, because it's going to be playing until we get to the actual boss. So we can just jump off that ledge and trigger the ladder. Oh, but oh no, the boss is still around somewhere. So we grab the master key by doing that, and we can just get the bow. Wow, he's just sort of like running around, doesn't know where it's going. Ah, it's back. So yeah, we're just gonna continue along while this music plays, and we're pretty much set to go to the boss of the forest shrine. I have a lot of bombs, which is really good. I have a lot of arrows, which is also very good. Oh no, there we go. All right, so this is Termos. So I actually would have preferred fighting Termos' arm than Termos, because Termos now has 4 of those arms, and basically we need to kill all 4 of these arms, or at least drop their health 4 times, and then do a whole bunch of damage to his tongue or his mouth. And I'm going to try to use these jars as much as possible, because they do 2 damage to each of these arms. The sword only does 1 damage, and bombs do 4 damage, which is amazing. But bombs are really useful for hitting Termos in the face, so we're going to try to save them for that. And we're kind of just hoping that each of these arms replenishes our bombs and our arrows, because we want to snipe them as much as possible. Oh no! Oh, that's bad. Okay, so I think it's gonna take one more cycle to kill Term. Oh, okay, and then I just died. That's fine. All right, I'll have to take that a little safer. I didn't realize how much damage you took when it like sucks you up. Also, just to talk about what happened there, this game can get very unfair when it comes to... Okay, those aren't... Come on. Okay, that sucks. It can be very unfair when it comes to just getting hit in general. Sometimes, even when you've been hit and you should have invincibility frames, the game just decides that you don't have invincibility frames, and then it will just hit you with something and kill you. And that actually becomes a huge problem for the final boss, because we're gonna have vastly a lower amount of health than we should. So yeah, that's kind of partly what happened there, other than me just being bad. Oh, that was so close. There we go. Another bomb would be really nice. Ah, there we go. And that's Termos. So I have to talk these Arus, or Orus, because they give me Riptide Reef. And now they want me to go back to Tikkarel because there's a Dark Apostle, which is one of the later bosses that's just sort of looming around. And they want us to take care of him. Now, something you'll notice is that there's a crosshair in the middle of the boat, and this is actually a really cool function that they added to the game. So I took a level up before I went to Termos, which brought me to level 3, and at level 3 you get the pumpkin seed shooter. And while this does sort of just look like a mini game, it's really good because it replenishes all of your, or maybe not all of them, but it gets you money, it gets you experience, it gets you health, bows and bombs and arrows. So going between areas, we can now replenish our inventory. But we do kind of still have to pay attention because it is possible to get hit by these little jellyfish octorok things and by the bombs. But it's also very important that we took the level before we left Termos, because or before we left the Great Forest, because we need 5 bombs to take care of this next boss. And if we don't take the level, we won't be able to replenish our bombs because we use so many of them during Termos, and then we end up losing a bunch of time for no reason. So we're back to Tikkarel. This girl's gonna talk to us. She's gonna give us a key because she wants us to use the key on the gate. But we're not going to take the gate because, well, you can kind of just swim to the cave that we're supposed to go to. So it just renders that key completely useless. I'm going to wait for my stamina to be fully recharged, and then swim over here. I might... Okay, no, I don't have to. Yeah, so without even having to use the stamina replenishment glitch or exploit, I was able to just go straight to the cave that I'm not supposed to be able to go to without a key. Alright, so this is the Dark Apostle. 5 bombs should dispatch him unless my bombs start floating, which they didn't, which is awesome. And now I go on a date. Alright, date's over. So before I leave Tikkarel, I'm going to be running over here. I'm going to grab a weather vane because I'm going to need a weather vane. Yeah, she's still following me, by the way. We're going to need the weather vane later on to build a hot air balloon. And we're going to drop this off at Hermit's Island, which is on the way to Southwind Isle, which is where we need to go. Usually you do this much later in the game, but there's a very specific trick that's going to help us later, which is being able to warp between islands. And I'll explain that when it actually happens. But yeah, basically doing this now gets this over with. We don't have to worry about it until like 20 minutes later. And then we don't have to go to Tikkarel, and we don't have to make the trip from Tikkarel back to Hermit's Island because we'll be able to teleport, which is going to be, it saves like a couple of minutes. So that's going to be really good. But also the reason why we have to go straight to Hermit's Island and drop this off is because we have to go to Southwind Isle and pick up an item and also put that in our boat. And I'm pretty sure you can't have 2 items in your boat at the same time. So because of that, we have to drop this off before we take the other item, and then we need to go pretty much halfway across the ocean again to drop the other item off, so it only makes sense to go here now. So one thing, I'm going to be very careful here, and you'll see me be very careful with a lot of items that I pick up, except for the honey, which is coming up. A lot of items just sort of explode when you throw them at things. And because of what I talked about earlier, where the boy just sort of targets anything in his radius, you want to be very careful where you throw things, because if you throw things at either an enemy or even just a random NPC, that thing will just explode, and yeah, then you have to go back and get it again. So it's happened to me before with the weather vane, where you have to go back to Tikkarel because you've thrown it at an enemy, and yeah, that's why you'll see me being very careful with a couple of items. Yeah, now we're at Southwind. Southwind, like immediately we're gonna skip having to open a gate that you can see. You're supposed to hit those 2 little like windmills, but instead of doing that, I'm just going to use the stamina replenishment glitch, and I'm going to swim over to the island that I need to go to. So I'm just gonna wait, get a little bit of stamina, and then start this. Do it one last time just in case, because if you you can die and then you'll get sent back to the start of the island, and it's not worth losing 40 seconds over. So here another like really small puzzle skip. I'm gonna hit a lever, and instead of taking the wooden walkway, I'm just gonna sit on the recessed stone wall, and then something really cool is gonna happen. So first off, we're on this island because we need to get honey, because the fish people really like honey, and the man dubbed Honeyman by the game, not me, is just standing on this little hill with honey in here. And we're gonna, it's already zany, and we're gonna get the honey in the zaniest way by just completely abusing how these blocks work and flashbacks. So instead of taking all these blocks and making a bridge so that we could talk to Honeyman, we're going to push a block over here onto this wooden walkway, walk into it, start a flashback, and talk to him from on top of the block. So now we have honey. And honey is very important. One thing that we want to make sure we don't do with honey is leave, like go into another section without it, because then it disappears and then we have to go get it again, and we would actually have to do what we're supposed to do in that cave, and no one wants to do that. I actually don't remember how to do it, so it would be really bad if I lost the honey. So now we're going to do pretty much the longest cruise in the game, which is Southwind Isle to Gilfolk's Drop. But this is where our second really big temple is going to be. This guy's going to say something about bananas, I'm pretty sure. No bananas on board. I don't know why. I really don't know why. No, we're just gonna replenish all our stuff. So now our goals are pretty much go to Gilfolk's Drop, give the Gilfolk the honey, and on Gilfolk's Drop we get the magic fire spell. Yeah, the fire magic spell. We get the trencher boots, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The fire magic spell is pretty simple. It sets things on fire. It lights torches up. It burns ice. And the trencher boots are actually really good. They allow us to roll, and they allow us to jump over small, it's like block-wide sections, which is really interesting, and it's going to help us a lot. The roll is really fast, and it's actually better than us running. Unfortunately, we can only get the trencher boots now. It's not like we can get it earlier, so we do have to wait until now to start rolling.
Not many men dare to wander
But once we get them, we're going to be prioritizing rolling over using our stamina. Not using our stamina, but that's not what I wanted. Over running.
Is a gate to the depths. No one has laid eyes on the underwater kingdom.
So it's faster for me to throw this honey here and then pick it up. And see there, I got another little achievement for moving blocks and throwing stuff 100 times. The game just makes you feel good for everything you do. It's great. So a very important skip is going to happen over here. Well, not right now, but coming up after we get into the Deep Cove. So we're going to give the honey to the Gilfolks. The Gilfolks are going to give us a key, and then we're going to skip using that key at all because we want to use it later, or actually like right after. So we get a key, and he's like, just open our gate. It's right here, instead of opening it for us for some reason. But instead of doing that, we're going to come hug this wall and then just skip the gate altogether. So now we get to use this key over here, which is going to allow us to go to the fire shrine. And yeah, we're gonna do fire stuff. So there's one to go back again to the boy being really weird with just targeting stuff. Instead of doing this puzzle over here, we're just gonna stand in front of this block and shoot aimlessly, and we hit the target and open up this gate. So, Cavern of Fire. Not a whole lot special in here. It's pretty straightforward. There is one little trick that we're gonna do, but it's pretty much just hitting a button off screen, or like kind of off screen with our force spell. There is a cool shot I can get here, but no, didn't get it. That's fine. You can hit both of those torches with a single shot, but you have to angle it properly, and I don't know how to do that. So we're gonna touch this. It's gonna bring the gate down, and we're gonna go grab a key over here before we drop down and finish off that little puzzle. Oh my god. That's annoying. I'm about to take a bunch of hits, so that was really unfavorable. Oh, yeah, okay. Luckily, there's a checkpoint right there. And I just got all my health back, so that's fine. Oh yeah, so we're gonna pick up this this fire spell. Oh, forgot to use magic. Let's see if I can get some magic. No. Okay. Oh, maybe from here. Health is good too. Yeah. So I'm gonna let this guy hit this torch because I don't want to use magic so much here. I'm really gonna need it in a bit to do a bunch of little skips. So using it there would be really bad. But anyway, so now that we've done what we needed to do in Guildfolk's Drop and in like part of the Deep Cove, we can go straight to the actual temple. And the temple it's going to be pretty straightforward, but again, there are some really strange things that I'm going to do in it. Our biggest goal is to get the trencher boots, but we're going to have to get a key before we get the trencher boots because we're going to do a little skip that allows us to get the trencher boots and the master key really quickly so that we don't have to do like half of the temple. Also, this is like the best track in the game, my opinion. Alright, so now we've gotten to the cave. Instantly we're just going to use our fire spell. We have a little puzzle over here to do. There's a frozen man over there, and I'm actually not sure why you have to defrost him, because he actually doesn't do anything. So we're just going to leave him frozen over there. So first goal, we have to get a key that'll allow us, I almost got that. We have to get a key that'll allow us to open a door after we get the trencher boots, and then we're gonna do some weird stuff that I haven't explained yet to get the trencher boots. So flashbacks have really, really strange properties, as I've explained. Also, climbing ladders have very strange properties. And when you combine both of them, you get some very weird, stuff. So what kind of happens? I'm gonna try to explain it before I get to it because it's gonna happen very quickly. I guess what happens is because there's a cutscene playing, the game like sort of stops registering that another cutscene should be playing. Just for a little bit though. So you have a little bit of time to spam climbing a ladder. And instead of bringing you to the next section, it just kind of keeps you in limbo. And we can use that to our advantage using magic. So I have everything I need. I'm gonna run up to this ladder over here now. I'm gonna watch a flashback and I'm just gonna spam the hell out of A. Oh, I think here we go. Alright, so now I'm climbing a ladder, but I'm not actually going down the ladder. I cancel magic and I'm walking underneath the room now. So I'm skipping having to get 3 keys. And you may be wondering, how am I gonna get up here? Well, if I watch another flashback, the game puts me right on the platform that I need to be on, and now I can get the trencher boots. So the trencher boots, as I explained before, it lets you roll and also hop, which is very helpful. Rolling is going to be really fast, so once I get my stamina back, I'm going to be rolling a whole bunch. And there's one last thing that we need to do before we go to King Angler, which is the final boss of the of this shrine. Some health would have been nice. Okay, in order to get this master key, we're going to try jumping off of this block and opening it in midair, which is actually very precise. There we go. Oh, well. I got greedy. Come on. All right, so King Angler's coming up. Not a very difficult boss, but kind of annoying. King Angler likes to float around and shoot icicles at you and try to freeze you. And we don't want that to happen. And we also want to be hitting King Angler with fire so that he will drop to the ground. But before all of that, we have to unfreeze this princess. And before we do that, we are going to set ourselves up to be able to grab a pot before we save the princess. So as she's being unfrozen, we pick up a pot. And this pot's going to be really helpful. We're going to hit King Angler with it, and he's going to drop in one hit. And we'll be able to do about a third of his health. There's a floating pot on the screen right now, by the way. And he just hits her. I forgot about that. That was brutal. Alright, so we hit him with the pot, and then we just spam away. I hope that's enough. The best cycle you can get for him is a 3 cycle. And the best way to do that is just spam slashing your sword as fast as possible. That wasn't fair. He was moving and he was on the ground. Come on. No. Come on. Oh my god. What a jerk. Come on. Oh my god. You're gonna do this to me. Alright, here we go. Alright, and that's King Angler. So now that we beat King Angler, we're going to talk to these gillmen. They're going to tell us to go get the coral saber, and we're going to do just that. So we go over here to Riptide Reef, and this is basically like the Master Sword. You go to Riptide Reef, you pull it out of an Oceanhorn, and suddenly you do a lot more damage, which is very, very good and very necessary. I've actually tried to beat this game without the Coral Saber, and it makes the final boss really, really bad. So it's not something that's like viable for a speedrun, or not something that's very worth it for a speedrun. It just makes your life miserable. So we actually have to go here and get this. It is possible to... It's possible to get it before King Angler, but it's not worth it having to go there. In the any percent category, so because we can use the unstuck functions, what we can do is go to Riptide Reef, And instead of doing it properly, which we're going to do it now, it's very possible to just swim to where the master key is using the stamina replenishment glitch exploit. And when you do that, there's a specific platform that, in using the flashback, it just teleports you on top of the platform, which is where the master key is. And then you can teleport yourself back to the start of the island and continue. But if you do that on no unstuck, you actually soft lock the game. Or not, yeah, I guess soft lock the game. Because there's actually nothing you can do. You can't save, you can't quit out with the master key, you just kind of have to leave and do Riptide Reef again. So it's really unfortunate, but I mean, it's not the worst thing. So we're gonna do this block puzzle. That I didn't screw up. Yeah, so that's the door that we have to open in order to be able to do Riptide Reef. And on top of this hill, we throw a bomb, and we get the master key. The kid's gonna be bald for a bit. That's fine. Oh, whoops. So now we have the Coral Saber. We're just gonna get out of here. And this is where some very weird stuff's gonna happen. So some stuff that I haven't showed you yet. Stuff that I was talking about before. We're gonna do some warping around. So instead of going to Hermit's Island the way that we're supposed to, by just sailing, we're actually gonna go there twice by warping there. It's gonna save us a whole bunch of time because we don't have to wait the like 2 minutes to sail there. And it's done in a very strange way. So we're in the overworld where we're sailing. We're gonna cancel out of it and watch a flashback that happens to be
a long time ago
in Hermit's Island. So right now we don't have a boat anymore. We're just sort of floating. And if we go in and watch another flashback, we have to watch that flashback twice. The first time it's normal. The second time we disappear for some reason. And now we are in the Hermit's hut. So the Hermit wants us to get this cube of Archimedes. And he wants us to go into this little place to eventually get to a well, but we're just gonna skip straight into the well. And yeah, now we're doing the Great Chronicler's Grave. So this is pretty standard. Not a whole lot of special stuff happens. It's just kind of going through a well. That's it. Magic would have been really good. I think I have enough now. Oh. I just wasted it. So you can hit the button from over here, but it's actually really hard to hit because it's, as you can see, it's being covered by most of the ceiling. So, I mean, it only loses a few seconds. just missed. That's so unfair. Alright, so now I get the Cube of Archimedes, but I don't need to be on this island anymore, so I'm going to leave. And the reason that I have to leave is because the Hermit will not teleport to where he needs to be to start building the hot air balloon. So I need to leave the island first, which you'll see my boat is going to be sort of in the middle, or like close to Riptide Reef, because that's where I did the warp from.
A long time ago, a long time ago.
So that's sort of the unfortunate part of the warp. Our boat doesn't actually teleport over to the island that we want it to be on. But that's not so bad, because of where we do it, we don't need the boat anymore. Our boat's going to get teleported after we build the hot air balloon, so this is like the perfect point to do it. So right now we're going to gather a whole bunch of stuff. We need a stool. Take notes, by the way. If you want to learn how to build a hot air balloon, you need a stool, you need a sleeping bag, you need a torch, and you need a weather vane. That's it. So I'm going to drop this over here first, because it's actually possible to drop it in a really bad spot where you end up in just like a talking loop with the Hermit, and it's really bad because then you have to leave and you lose a whole bunch of time. You can hear by the way that I'm talking about it that it's happened to me, and it's made me very salty before. So we're gonna make a weather balloon and or a hot air balloon, and we're gonna end up on Sky Island. So listen to the amount of times that the father says sky here.
Said she had fallen from the sky. Mary. I always called her the princess of the sky. Said she had lost her memory. Whenever she looked at that island in the sky, I could see a longing in her eyes. Come from the sky.
The true poet. I don't know, that gets me every time. Just like the way he says sky and eyes is like, it's the same, I don't know. He says it the same way every single time. And when you're running this game a lot, every time you hear it, it's just kind of funny. Anyway, so we're on Sky Island. We have to get to the Grand Core, which is our like third and final temple or shrine or whatever you want to call it. But what we want to do is we want to grab a key and not use it so that we can skip half of the Grand Core. And you can guess that by me saying that that's what I want to do, that's actually what I'm going to do. So I'm going to grab a key over here, which I don't know why they hid it like this. I don't think it's... I don't know how you're supposed to know to step on that pressure block, but that's what they've done. That's what they went for. And we're going to watch a flashback, and we're going to do this weird reverse ladder glitch. And we're just going to be walking in the sky. So we're supposed to be following that shadow figure that just sort of disappeared. But instead of doing that, we're going to roll all the way to this weird hill that has a hole in it. And if we land on that hole and watch a flashback, we're going to go down it, and we're going to end up skipping a key that would normally open a gate to get into the place that this hole leads us to. So if I land, okay, I didn't land on it, but this should be enough. Perfect. So the hardest part of that is just lining it up. But once you're on the hole, everything's a-okay. Wow. So now I have an extra key, which is really good, but I want to not waste it, so I have to make sure I get all the keys in here that I have to get. And this is another place where there's a puzzle that we're supposed to do, but there's literally a way to skip it right next to it, which, again, I don't know how it was an oversight, but it was. And I thank whoever put it in here for doing it, because it is great. So I'm going to push 2 blocks off of this ledge and make a little platform. And yeah, I get to hop over that little ledge, and I get to skip half of this cave. So now I have a key, and because I went through here and went through that cutscene and had my necklace stolen, or my mother's necklace stolen, I get to go into the Grand Core. So the Grand Core is, well, when I played it casually, not my favorite level ever. Now that I've done the speedrun, it is probably my favorite level ever. And I will show you why. So, we open this gate. Dodge some enemies. We need to wait for this eye to pass the mirror over there so that we can bait it. Oh, okay. Oh, can I do it? No, I missed it. That's fine. I can bait it again. No, I didn't have stamina. All right. So I gotta wait another cycle. All right, so what you're supposed to do is get the Shield of Kronos, which is sort of like the mirror shield, but we skipped that altogether, and now I get to do this reverse ladder glitch over here. I'm gonna cancel out of the magic. And you can see that there's a boss door there, and I'm behind it somehow. Oh, okay. I did that wrong, I guess. Wait, what? What? Alright, I think I need to do the Grand Core again. Alright, yeah, so unfortunately there were no checkpoints there, so I have to do this part of it again, but because it's so short, it's not a big deal. It's been a long time since I've actually done that. Alright, so we bait this thing again. Alright, I need to make sure that I'm standing in the right spot. That should be fine. Alright, here we go. So now we're behind the key, and we are in the boss's room. So this is why I love the Grand Core so much, because you don't have to do it. This is Shadow Mesmeroth. Shadow Mesmeroth is really annoying. Sometimes he starts off with an attack, immediately hitting you, and there's like not a whole lot that you can do about it. But otherwise, he's kind of a joke. You shoot him 3 times with a fire arrow, and then you look for the flashing one, and you just wail on him. But so between these phases, there are these phases where you sort of get attacked by, oh, he's having trouble right now. Okay, there you go. You get attacked by these rockets, and these rockets do 2 damage. What you're supposed to do is block them with the Shield of Kronos, but because we don't have it, this fight actually got really dangerous. So as long as we don't get hit by the rockets, we're fine, but it's very, very easy to get hit by them. Alright, and this should be Shadow Mesmeroth. And this is Shadow Mesmeroth. Alright, so he just like disappeared off the bottom of the screen. Yeah, so now Sky Island falls down. There's a glitched texture on the side of it that you can spot. We need to talk to these people because they tell us where Arcadia Island is. And you're going to notice that my boat is at Sky Island now, and that's really good, actually, because that means we're close to Arcadia Islands and that our boat did get teleported from Riptide Reef earlier. And this is now going to be the final boss. So the final boss is Oceanhorn, a giant mechanized creature. Oceanhorn is sort of difficult if you don't know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, you get hit by bombs and die almost immediately because Oceanhorn is completely unfair. But otherwise, if you know what you're doing, it's possible to never get hit by bombs or only get hit by one.
Bound by blood. That's what the old archives tell about the living fortresses and their pilots. Machines created to protect the kingdom of Arcadia became its worst enemy. After Mesmeroth shred the world to pieces, corrupted living fortresses made sure nothing.
All right,
would
so I'm going to roll
rise
through
from the
this flute.
ashes.
And I've actually picked it up. It's going to be the first thing in my inventory, but I get to skip that cutscene, which is really nice. And coming up, so Oceanhorn has two phases. The first phase is going to be the mechanized creature, and the second one is going to be the mechanized creature with Shadow Mesmeroth. You're going to see the father over here. He's not in good shape, but that's fine. So we're going to start this fight off by trying to shoot one of the legs with an arrow. And then we have to hit these things over here. And the second Oceanhorn gets up, come on, there we go. We need to hit the other leg and smack those shiny blue things. So we need to do that a second time, but we need to make sure that Oceanhorn never gets up, because if Oceanhorn gets up, you get nailed by bombs almost immediately. And this was actually a... Oh, no, he still got me. He still got me. But that's fine. This is still a pretty good fight. So that's part one of Oceanhorn. Part two's coming up. Time's actually coming up really soon. I'll tell you when it happens. It's when I play the flute, but I will make sure you hear it. So we're gonna fight Shadow Mesmeroth. Basically what we have to do is make Oceanhorn walk into some electricity, and then we need to pelt Shadow Mesmeroth with a whole bunch of bombs until he runs away, and then play a flute. There's meaning to all of those words, I promise. So I need to not get hit. Oh, awesome. All right, and time is now. That is time. Yeah, thank you very much. So that's actually a pretty solid time. That would have been a PB, but I managed to beat my PB before coming. So that would have been cool, but that's fine. Oceanhorn is a really good game. I know I rag on it a little bit, but it's a lot of fun casually. It's a lot of fun as a speedrun. There's a whole bunch of really crazy stuff in it, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff that hasn't really been used. So, I mean, we're sort of hoping for more people to against the community, but I mean, I honestly suggest you play this game as a casual game. It's on sale right now for about $8. And other than that, thank you very much for having me, as usual. And keep donating and stuff.
Well, thank you, Ring here.
Thank you.
That was an interesting run.
I hope
It's
so.
something new to me. I've never seen it before, so yeah.
That's what I do. I like playing indie games that no one's ever heard of, because they're usually the most interesting. Like, for a small budget game like this, it turned out to be like a really cool thing. But yeah, anyway, I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you very much once again, and
Well, thank you for being with us, and good luck with everything else.
yeah.
We will be transitioning in just a few. We'll have Turok Dinosaur Hunter Hex on PC 80% with Naram Gemjan. Bon, Donc pour ceux en français, on va avoir Turok Dinosaur Hunter X de Naram Gamjan, j'aime ça à dire ce mot-là. Excusez-moi. Any Person PC qui s'en vient, ça sera pas trop long. On va se faire une petite transition, puis on installe ça, puis on vous start ça. Let's go!